playtime is over. Get your Prepared Mind merchandise at thepreparedmind.club. Help keep free speech free and spread the word about the need to prep. Hello, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. As you guys know, I'm John, your host, with another hot toddy, still trying to fight this cold and flu off. I think I got both now. It is an epic battle of self-defense on the microscopic level. So you may have guessed, today's video is on self-defense, right? You know, the primary purpose of any being is to live. We want to live. And then we want to protect those around us that matter. You know, and when shit hits the fan, we need to be prepared, right? To live. And ultimately, everything we do, whether it's eating, drinking, taking medication, everything is about defending the self, prolonging life. So everything is self-defense. And so it's only natural that when I say you need to have all your preps, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, right? Self-defense, that's one of the ones, means of self-defense. Guns. People think about guns as their self-defense. Everything is self-defense, right? And what is it that what's our biggest enemy when we talk about shit hitting the fan? Well, if you've got food, that's not your enemy. Starvation isn't. Same with water, same with clothing, shelter. If you have medicine, it comes down to your enemy, the thing that's your greatest adversary, because you bought all the storage, you bought all the preps. Our biggest enemy, our biggest concern, our biggest self-defense threat is other people. But is the gun, whether it's a handgun, shotgun, rifle, crossbow, knife on a steak, right? Is that our primary self-defense weapon? My answer is no, it isn't. It really isn't your primary self-defense weapon. This, the prepared mind, is your primary defense weapon. Guns are just tools. But it's the mind that becomes the self-defense weapon. Right? If you've got someone harassing you, say in a shit-it's-the-fan scenario, and there's lots of people around, shooting them with the gun, is that necessarily your best move? Well, not if it's going to get you unwanted attention. Right? Not if it's going to attract attention. Not if it can be avoided. Right? And there's going to be times, and I guarantee it because it's always the case, there's going to be times where you're going to have to use the gun. A lot of people are. More than likely, because that's what history says. When shit hits the fan, people do. But in every other instance where a gun isn't absolutely necessary, you know, it's something else. Something else stops things. Right? It's the situation. So, when shit hits the fan, right, who's the problem? Other people. Right? And so how do we deal with them? Well, you can't always shoot first and ask questions later. It could bring more trouble in on you. It could be a SHTF light and the police are going to come and arrest you. Or it's a short SHTF and the next week there's going to be some serious questions. Why did you shoot the person? You're going to have to explain yourself. Who knows what the situation is that would cause you to say, I need to work on this another way. Right? I think it's an understanding of people, of human nature, is key, and it's going to be key in self-defense. You see, people, they have a motivation. Right? What motivates people? What drives them to do the things they do? You know, fear is the motivator. Someone could say, well, I'm hungry, and that motivated me to do something, and I got shot at for it. Well, it's the fear of starvation, right? But fear is motivational for people. Selfishness, again, self-defense. And I don't want to say, as preppers, we're not selfish. Of course we're selfish. Every human being is. You have to look out for number one. But when shit hits the fan, people are going to be motivated by their fear. Their absolute fears. And that's going to stop them. So as preppers, can we use fear as a self-defense tool? The answer is yes. I want to start by talking about an incident at a bar. 5 guys came into the bar, and I was sitting there enjoying a scotch with a friend. And one of the guys, or several of them, recognized me, but one of the 4, or 5, can't remember now, I think it was 5, came over and said he wanted to fight. And I thought, this is going to end badly for me because it's 5 guys. And this isn't Hollywood, so I'm going to end up getting my ass kicked. And the guy says, you're that strongman guy. And I'm here to take you on. I'm a mixed martial arts guy. And I said, okay. I said, what's going to happen, though, is you're not going to like the results. I said, you're probably going to punch me a few times, but I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to slam you on the ground head first. And I told him a couple other violent threats. And I let him know that if I had my way with him, he's going to be in the hospital, and the police are going to come and ask him why he started the fight, because I would be involved in acts of self-defense. Anyways, I talked this guy down enough that he decided fighting me wasn't a good idea. Right? I appealed to the fear on his side. His drunken bravado about, while thinking about it, seemed to settle him down a bit. I think having to actually stand in front of me and me towering over him, telling him what I was going to do to his carcass when I got done beating it up and mopping the floor with it, helps, right? But I appealed to his fear, right? So I do know that even in a moment of aggression, people, they're fear-based, right? Maybe he had an ego issue and he's fearful, right, of whatever his problem was. But I was able to appeal to his fear and get out of it. When shit hits the fan, people who are not ready are the people that are going to bother us. They're not prepared, right? So what kind of reaction are they going to have? They're going to have a fear-based reaction. It's going to be an emotional reaction, meaning they're not going to be in their logical right mind. They're going to ask these questions of themselves. Shit hits the fan. Whether it's a nuclear bomb or a food shortage, whether we've been invaded by a foreign army, whether there's a stock market crash, it doesn't matter what happens, but we do know that there's going to be an emotional reaction by people who are not prepared. And it's going to be one of fear. There's going to be a concern. Is there no law anymore? And by lawlessness, they're not talking about the fact that they're hearing sirens and seeing police going around. If they're hearing sirens and seeing police going around, they're going to assume bad things are happening. And they can still say, is there no law? If they see people misbehaving and the police and those sirens aren't coming to take care of the problem, they're not going to think, well, there's probably 50 different police actions they'll get here, but it's going to take a little while. No, they're going to be fear-based. Is there no law? Is it lawlessness? Right? Other things they're going to ask is, how did this happen? Right? Again, it's a fear-based question. How did this happen? Right? They're going to be mad. They're going to be upset. They're going to be fearful. How did this happen? How did this happen? And so they're asking odd questions. Right? Because they don't want to believe that something like shit hitting the fan can happen. So they're going to question their reality, just like they question, is there no law? How did this happen? They start asking all of these questions. Who, where, what, when, and the one that I like to ask, and with you guys, is why. Why is this happening? And you and I talk about it all the time. Well, we're prepping because we see shit hitting the fan. Why would it happen? Well, because these events are occurring. They're kind of late to the party. These people that we're going to run into when shit hits the fan. They're going to want to know, how did this happen? They're not going to get the answers they want. They're going to run up to their neighbor. How did this happen? They're going to ask everybody. They'll be asking each other. They're not going to get the answer that satisfies them, so they're going to be scared. They're going to ask the other questions that we like to ask, right? They want to blame somebody in their fear. This can't be my fault that all this shit is happening, right? Who did this? right? Who did this? They want to blame somebody. You know, they're going to look around and their world has changed. Shit just hit the fan, right? They're going to want to know, where did my life go? Right? Their life just disappeared. Say 2 days in, 3 days in, they're still going to be asking the questions. Where did my life go? You know, where did my life go? Meaning their job, electricity, food, water. You know, not just the mechanical questions like, why is my toilet backing up? Why is this happening? But they're going to want to know my life, because people are worried about themselves. Self-defense. They want some answers. Right? A big question, you know, what is going to happen to me? That's what people are going to be asking. People that have nothing, they're going to try and find a way to get through it. What's going to happen to me? You know, so other questions will be like, what comes next? You know, what's happening? What's going to happen next? They're scared. More bad things are going to happen. They'll be asking, what do I do about it? I think that as preppers, we're in a unique position because we've already thought about it. We've thought about the varieties of ways shit can happen. And in an effort of self-defense, we've become preppers so that we have food and water and shelter and clothing and medicine, means of self-defense. We have a plan. Part of the plan, of course, is dealing with other people. They're going to be asking all these questions. There's going to be mass confusion. Even if somebody says, you know, how did this happen? And some guy down the street goes, yeah, they dropped a bomb on New York. Okay, that doesn't answer all the other questions like, what's going to happen to me? Where did my life go? What comes next? What do I do about it? As a prepper, the first answer to every question isn't to shoot people. You know, a lot of people will go, shoot first, ask questions later. Dead men tell no tales. That's our backup plan. It's kind of like running. When something goes wrong, you run, right? Your plan fails. Running is what you do when a plan fails. So, you know, what do we do as preppers? Well, shooting is what we do when all other plans fail, including running, right? And you can't always run anyways. And should you run, and is running more dangerous? Oh, there's so many questions, so many questions. Knowing there's so many questions, if we can get them pre-answered, we're in good shape. And the one answer of, well, you just shoot first and ask questions later, I don't like giving that advice. I just don't. I know it's going to happen. Well, I know it's going to happen. But what can we do to avert that? How can we protect ourselves? Because there's going to be situations where shooting is going to get us unwanted attention. Your ridiculous neighbor may think that he can walk over to you calmly and then demand to arrest you because you shot a guy who pulled a knife on you. And there's going to be that type of idiocy and lunacy. So how do we talk to people that are starting to become a problem? Whether they're desirous of your house or your coat, the food you have, they want to join you, whatever their issue is, and you can't get rid of them. They're becoming a threat. They're becoming threatening. Why are they doing that? It's fear. Fear is going to scare them into action. It could also paralyze them. We don't worry about paralyzed people. They just sit there and shit their pants. But it's the ones who are motivated to take action that bother us, that we need to be most wary of. And just shooting them instantly isn't going to be the answer at all times. So can we use their fear to control them? The answer is yes. If fear is what is motivating them, their fear for self-preservation, can't we let that play into our hands? We can let them know a lot of things, right? Part of the question they have is, what comes next? Right? If someone starts giving you a hard time, you could say, you know what, this is going to end in a couple of days. And when that happens, police are going to come for you because I'm going to let them know what an asshole you are. Now you've appealed to something they're very familiar with. Law enforcement. Even if you don't know a single cop, even if you haven't a clue what's going on, you can scare them away. That's a threat they're used to thinking about. The police will come and get you. Right? Nobody wants to go to jail, not even in shit it's the fan. And they're fear motivated. They're fear-based emotional decisions. That's their basic formula they're operating on because they're scared, they're uncertain, they're fearful. They want to know, what can I do about this situation I'm in? You can tell them, this is going to end in a few days. Right? And I think you should go down to the FEMA camp. Right? And again, I'm not saying give this information to people to screw them over, but if they're becoming a problem for you, understanding the psychology of your opponent gives you an advantage. Knowing ahead of time that this is what's going to be coming at you. Somebody may approach you and they're hungry, right? I haven't eaten in days, man. And they become a passive threat. They start becoming an aggressive threat. Right? You can give them information to satisfy their needs or make them succumb to fear. They're already fearful. And the alternative, of course, is to just reach in and grab your insurance policy, right? Smith & Wesson or Glock, whatever it is you've got. But I don't think anyone here wants to kill people. I don't think preppers on this place, right, the Prepared Mind, are murderous thugs who are dying for a chance to put one of those hollow points into somebody and just see what it does to flesh. I really don't think that about you guys. I don't think it about myself. I do know that bad things are going to happen. If someone shoots at you, you're probably going to have to shoot back. But if someone is just harassing you, my thing is, people are about self-defense. People are afraid to prep, and they make excuses because they're fearful. They don't want to consider the horrors of SHTF, so they don't. They're afraid of the idea of an all-out apocalypse. They're afraid of Mad Max in real life, so they don't prep. When something bad happens, they're still going to be fearful. How did this happen? Who did this? Right? You can let people know if they're like, well, I'm not afraid of the cops, right? I haven't seen a cop in days and I want your food. Well, the reason you haven't seen a cop is because there's a gang of thugs and they do their rotations on a hourly basis. And I bribe them every day with food. So they're going to protect me. And if I tell them you're my problem, guess what? They're going to come after you. They're going to make you their next meal. Because in a couple of days, I think people are going to be eating each other. That's how bad things are. And you could appeal to the fear of someone else. The same way I appealed to the fear of this guy who probably could have kicked my ass if he was fast enough. But if I got my hands on him, I'd take a bite at him. Anyways, that guy in the bar, right? He wanted to fight me. And my friend Gary that was with me, he thought it was funny. I'm sure, knowing his personality, his idea to help the situation would be to take bets, right? But I was worried about hurting this guy and then having a bunch of his buddies attack me. So I had to come up with a plan to deal with the situation, right? So you've got a guy in your face when shit hits the fan. How do you deal with it, right? Do you have to shoot first? Will that cause more problems for you? Can you diffuse the situation? Now, unfortunately, in my life, I tend to escalate things. That's why when there's a security call in my profession, I don't come running because I'm probably going to dare the guy to do something stupid with my psychology, right? It's like, oh, you want to play that game? Let's see how that one ends. It's going to end with you on the barbecue pit. But when shit hits the fan, I think the way I deal with things is going to work. And that is working with other people's fears. Do you really want to go down this road? Right? You've got a guy in front of you. He's threatening you. He wants your food, right? Maybe he's pulled a gun on you. And that's going to happen. You're going to have people pull a gun on you and you're like, hey, and you hold your hands up. Got no gun. I'm not a threat to you. He's like, well, you're a threat to my self-preservation. And he won't say it that nice. He's going to say, I'm fucking hungry and I want your fucking food, motherfucker. Get the fucking fuck out of my fucking way. That's what he's going to say. And you're going to say, look, I'm going to step away from you. I don't want any problem with you. But inside my house are 5 different people, and they probably have a bead on you right now. You pull that trigger, you're probably going to injure or kill me. But I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to injure you back. And then they'll probably torture you. Because they're going to want to know how many more people are in your gang. So they're not going to kill you. What they're going to do is they're going to tie you to a tree stump. Then they're going to cut the skin off your knees and they're going to pour lemon juice on it because we have a lemon tree out back. And then we're going to pour some honey on your crotch. And we're going to let the ants and the bugs and everything come and attack you. And we're going to get the answers out of you we want. We're probably going to put your feet on some hot coals. Now, I know these things sound horrible. They sound terrible. And I'm pretty sure I heard all of those lines in a movie that starred Clint Eastwood. But what I would be doing is appealing to his fear. Well, you can kill me, but what's that going to do for you? That's going to earn you far more pain. Lots of suffering. Right? So it's about thinking. Right? And I'm doing this video like I'm doing all of my other videos. With the rare occasion of ones where I hold pictures up. But improvisational. You know, are you clever enough? I don't know, right? Are you going to be able to talk at all if a guy pulls a gun on you? I don't know. I just know that as a matter of course, in my life, it has benefited me to be prepared to deal with people who are giving you a hard time. And a lot of times, like I said, you may not want to shoot somebody. You may not want to brandish a weapon. You may not actually have your weapon on you. You could be caught off guard. Back when I was a Marine, I was in South Carolina. I got caught off guard by a bunch of hillbillies. Fortunately, they liked me, and they just wanted to rough me up a little bit before they let me go. You know, but when shit hits the fan, you could get killed or you could not get killed. But the penalty, what you lose, could be your preps. You know, you might get mugged as an individual, or you could get all of your shit taken from you. Obviously, if you're an individual prepper, you're probably going to have backup. You're going to have friends and family with you helping you out. But what you don't want to do is end up in a situation where someone has a high-velocity hole in the middle of them. Right? You're going to win the day, but you may not feel good for a few weeks. You know, you don't want to use unnecessarily your fish antibiotics, in other words. After you pick the lead out of yourself, use antiseptic swabs and get the wound cleaned out, you're still going to need to use antibiotics. Do you want to use them unnecessarily? Right? Personally, I don't like being a pincushion for bullets. So, by the way, the hot toddy worked. That one was loaded down with some Glenfiddich. Okay, so, you know, self-defense. It's not just about guns. It's not just about having preps. Right? It's not any one thing. But it definitely is going to involve other people. Right? And that's what we know. Sometimes other people will need us shooting guns at them. Sometimes other people are going to need us to give them a can of Spam and say, hey, look, you know, shit just hit the fan 2 days ago. Go down that road for a day and a half. You'll get to a nice FEMA camp. They'll probably feed you there. You know, stop staring at me like I'm a ham. Right? So you give them enough food to get them on their way. You know, whatever the technique is you're going to use. And I know there's objections to all of these. There's objections to my idea of threatening somebody. Telling him, hey, the cops are going to be here any day now. Hey, I've got bad guys, right? There's other gangs. There's other thugs. By the way, you've got 3 people and there's laser dots on you. You can't see them, but I can. They're on your forehead. You can't see them. You make one more move. In fact, if you don't fucking leave in 10 seconds, I'm going to give one hand signal. And when I open my fingers this way, a second time, they're going to put a hole in your forehead. Get the fuck out of here. And I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, and the guy better fucking run. Right? But I know I've got him thinking. I know he's wondering, is there a fucking laser on my head? Right? And while he's thinking and hesitating, I've got a couple of options. Hopefully there really is a laser beam on his head. But on the other hand, you know, I may be on my own. I may not have some backup. I know in my particular case, not the scenario I was just talking about, there will be backup. My sons do not fuck around. My group does not fuck around. We will be well prepared for what is going on. Right? If I have meetings on a daily business in my work to talk about the mission of the day, you thinking shit it's the fan, I'm going to leave that to chance? Not a fucking chance, right? And it includes understanding how to deal with people. It really does include knowing, right, the situation around me. Are there other gangs? Can I use that as a threat? Are the police still out? Can I use that as a threat? You know, appealing to people's fear in order to get them to behave in such a way that it benefits me. Right? Because I don't want to have to shoot everybody that stops by and says, hey, John, right? I'm going to make your life hell. I don't want to deal with that. So can I disarm it and get it moved on and get them out? Right? The answer is yes. That's what I want to do. And there could be days, there could be weeks where that's not even an option. But for times when it is an option, I want to have it available because chance favors, right, the prepared mind. So thank you for taking this little trip down the fun psychological lane. Remember, fear is a powerful motivator. And those who are fearful are most subject to it. Godspeed to you all. Stay frosty. It's a weird world, right? And when shit hits the fan, we need to be ready all the way around. So head over to thepreparedmind.club if you haven't and check things out. Lots of good discussions over there at the blog, the chat, Prepper Connect. Got lots of stuff to buy at the store. If you need preps, go there. And you guys be cool. I'll see you later.